the toll on civilians from this campaign is totally unacceptable. All parties must do whatever they can at all times to protect civilians and civilian infrastructure and ensure that civilians are never put in harm's way.
Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon are intensifying. Overnight, powerful blasts rocked Beirut, this one hitting just outside the airport's perimeter. At least 1,400 people have been killed, and that includes Hezbollah fighters, but also many civilians. More than 1.2 million people have been displaced. An Israeli strike has also cut off the main road to Syria. It's being used by hundreds of thousands to flee. Now, people are abandoning their cars and making their way across on foot. It's estimated 40,000 Canadians, permanent residents, and their spouses are in Lebanon. The Canadian government is chartering planes to get them out, but the flights are leaving Beirut with hundreds of empty seats. Stefanie McCollum is Canada's ambassador to Lebanon, and she joins me now. Ambassador, welcome to the show. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
You and the embassy and your staff, of course, are in Beirut, the city. We have seen it targeted and hit by Israeli strikes. How is it affecting you, your staff, and your operations there?
Luckily, our staff are all safe and accounted for. That's our number one priority. Certainly, we've put in place more security measures that I won't get into, but to make sure that they stay that way, they stay safe, they can continue to operate as we have been out of the embassy. So that is business as usual, and we're there to support the Canadians who might need us during these troubled times.
Right. I've never been to the embassy in Beirut, but the backdrop behind you suggests to me that's where you are. So if things are continuing, you're able to provide the consular services that are being required, though I would suspect under greater demands?
Correct. Yes. No, we have been able to operate our normal business hours. We've been working through the weekends, as I'm sure you can imagine as well, just to keep up with that demand. But so far, embassy operations have not been impacted, luckily.
Okay, so help me understand why you've been able to secure these flights. Canada has been able to secure these flights and seats on these flights, but so many of them are not being taken. Planes are leaving with empty seats, or they're being filled by people from other countries. Why is it so few Canadians want to leave or are able to leave? What's your assessment of the situation?
It's a good question. I think it's a really difficult decision for a lot of Canadians. You know, Canadians are scared. They're tired. They've been living in this conflict for almost a year now, and they face their own personal circumstances that present difficulty to travel. So sometimes that's logistical, sometimes that's timing. Sometimes that's family considerations and not having the travel documentation that they need. So we are working with Canadians on all of those particular challenges so that we can address them and help them in their own particular way. And those who can travel are traveling with us. There are, of course, a vast array of commercial options that remain available, although more limited, but there are air options, marine options, land options. So Canadians are choosing those commercial options as well. So this is complementary, this is augmented commercial capacity, but certainly Canadians have a variety of choices to them. And the important thing for us is we're making sure that the commercial options are not the obstacle.
Well, I spoke to a woman last night who is trying to get out on one of the flights, and she says she's having a really hard time getting the right information and getting in touch with the embassy for help. I know there are a lot of people probably reaching out, but what do you say to Canadians who are struggling to get the information they need from the embassy, struggling to find out when they can leave on one of these flights?
I'm sorry to hear that. Certainly, we're trying to be as accessible as possible. We have proactively communicated out to our almost 25,000 registrants in our registration of Canadians abroad system. We are posting on our Facebook, on our Twitter, on our Instagram, on my threads. Of course, Ottawa is helping us through 24/7 support for calls and emails. There is a dedicated email in the last few days. Minister Joly announced it on her tweet, and we've been promoting it based on Canadians saying they were having trouble getting through. So we've created a dedicated email, and this hopefully will address any of the challenges that they've been having.
These charter flights that are getting out, you say some seats are empty, some seats are unfilled, but you're saying they're also not exclusive to Canadians, that you're carrying passengers from like-minded countries. Help me understand how that operation is actually working from a technical capacity. Who else is Canada getting out of Lebanon, and what other countries might be able to get Canadians out if it comes to that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say there's a lot of collaboration on the ground for these augmented commercial options. I would say that uh, other countries are offering Canadian seats, we are offering other country seats, and it's all about what best suits those individuals that are trying to leave at that moment because these are all augmented commercial charters. And so what that looks like is we're just in constant touch. A lot of it is on WhatsApp, to be honest with you. And it's citizens that are eligible to fly. If we have the space, certainly we're going to help them. And so you've seen, for example, recently Australia, New Zealand. Today we have Ireland and Bulgaria and Switzerland, and so it's a very collaborative effort just to make sure that there's as many options for as many citizens as possible.
But right now, the entire plan hinges on the Beirut airport continuing to be open, continuing to be operational, and continuing to be safe and functional. And last night, there was a strike just outside the perimeter as Israel apparently went after one of the new Hezbollah leaders. What's the plan if that airport suddenly is no longer the safe route out?
Sure, it's a good question. We have a detailed plan. I'm sure you've been hearing about it, about our contingencies that we have at the embassy in a last resort scenario. And so if we do run into a situation, which we hope we won't, where there are absolutely no more commercial options, then we do have a plan to continue to help Canadians leave Lebanon. The challenge is we don't know if we're going to be able to implement that plan or how quickly. We don't control the environment here in Lebanon. And so critically important for us that Canadians are in a safe and secure way to be able to come to us for us to deliver on that plan. And so that's why we continue to urge, as we have been for almost a year now, that Canadians shouldn't wait for that moment. Don't wait for the airport not to be working. Take those commercial opportunities that are available now before it's no longer available.
Well, that is the challenge, right? Because by the time you have to trigger the last resort plan, circumstances are going to be so difficult that you're forced to do that. And then it's a question of how quickly you can do it and how fast it can be implemented. I mean, do you anticipate that being hours, that being days, that being a week? Like, what is your sort of like scenario planning in terms of how quickly you could move to this last resort?
It's really going to depend on the safety situation. Like I said, the security situation, what critical infrastructure remains, will communications be available, or are we communicating to Canadians through radio stations? How safe is it going to be for them? Because that's paramount. How safe is it going to be for our staff? Because we don't want to put them at risk either. So our plan is multifaceted. We can pivot depending on the scenario and what's available and how safe it is, and we'll go from there.
Is the tipping point for that the airport, or is it the security environment? Like if the airport somehow becomes something you can't use, so you just have to go to that. Because if strikes keep happening, we've seen times where planes just aren't flying over Lebanon or not flying in because of the military activity. If that becomes a prolonged period, is that when you decide to go to this, or does it need to be the whole security situation is completely untenable?
I think for us, the considerations are about Canadians and are they stranded? Are they safe? Can they access other options? How safe is it for them to move? So we look at a factor of considerations. I wouldn't say there's only one thing. I think it's really going to depend on how the situation evolves and how unsafe it becomes or how limited an option it becomes for Canadians. So again, the airport is operating. There are also maritime and road options. So we're just really focused on encouraging Canadians to take advantage of those options while they last so that they don't find themselves in that situation where they have no other choice but to rely on us.
I know the numbers are still fluid in terms of the number of people who are out and the number of people who want to come out. You say 25,000, give or take, have registered, to be in contact and get information. I know we've heard there's 40 to 45,000 passport holders in the region. Based on the level of take-up right now, I mean, how many of the 25,000, assuming it doesn't escalate to the absolute last resort emergency evacuation, how many people do you think are actually going to want to leave that you're going to have to take out of the country through the commercial flights while they're available?
Yeah, excellent question. So those 25,000, we sent them a message. And we said last week and then again this week saying, if you want to be kept informed of the commercial options that are available to you, register with us, fill in another form to let us know that you want us to proactively push to you these options, because we were hearing a lot from Canadians that there were no options. And we thought, let's inform them of what's available to them. And so from the mail out, we had just over 5,000 say, yes, please keep me informed about available commercial options. And to them, we've been sending messages to let them know of all of the options that exist and wherever there's extra capacity, either on existing commercial flights or through those augmented commercial charters that we're putting on as well. So then they choose themselves if those are the options that they want to avail themselves of.
Okay, but I won't be the whole 25,000, right? I mean, I'm trying to create a sense, get a sense of expectation on our end of it. Like, it's obviously you have to prepare for that, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that large.
What we're seeing is that Canadians at this point are scared to leave. They're scared to leave their homes. They're scared to leave their extended families who may not be able to travel. And so they're making decisions that best suit them. We can't force anyone to leave. All we can do is provide them with the advice and the encouragement to do so, to not put themselves in further harm's way. But of course, they have to make their own decisions, and we really won't know how many there are until they feel that it's time for them to leave. But right now, you're right, we're not seeing a massive exodus of tens of thousands of people. And that's good because it means that those who do want to leave are still able to do so on the flights that exist.
Stefanie McCollum, Canada's ambassador to Lebanon, thank you for your time. Stay safe and good luck in the days ahead.
Thank you so much.